Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of DappRadio. I'm your host, Ben, and today we have the honor of speaking with Mr. Bonds. What's going on, my dude?
Not a lot, man. Thanks for having me, Ben. Good to meet you.
Well, it is super good to meet you, and glad that you got a chance to come on the show today. Let's dive right in it. Clearly, you have created something really, really interesting with our planet. Let's dive in. I want to dive in all in the project, but let's get a little backstory on you. Would love to hear what's your story, and then we'll dive into the project of that.
Me personally, so I'm actually a glassblower by trade and found my way into the crypto space in 2017, like a lot of people, and basically started working with Weekend shortly thereafter. Started just as a project manager, community manager, excuse me, for prospectors, and was working with the team on communications. So fast forward, started working with the team. They gave me an actual position, and I've been working with them ever since. So that's maybe going on 4 years almost already now.
Wow. So wait, so you said you were a glass blower?
So yeah, I'm and I still blow glass. I run a glass company called Manifest Glassworks. Hence the Manifest. I've always gone by that alias. It's my glass company, and I also had some retail stores back in the day called Manifest Station.
Sweet.
So yeah, I still blow glass, but my job has been working with Weekend for now. Like I said, going on 4 years. I do communications with them. I of course, am involved in all the articles, doing interviews, things like this, representing the team at events, etc. I'm sorry, I got this. I get like a little bit of echo here. I apologize for this. So yeah, of course, as you realize, the team is based out of Ukraine, and so I was lucky enough to make it to Ukraine and actually meet the team in person for the first time just about a year ago. So last summer was the first time I actually got to meet the rest of the guys, the developers, and the CEO Nazar, and all the rest of the gang that makes it happen. So other than that, we've only been meeting via Telegram and Zoom meetings, etc. So it's really kind of like a family operation over there. It's a lot of everybody's very close, family members, and it's really it's almost like a family business. I was welcomed in to the family, and it's obviously grown quite a bit since then.
So how does our planet tie into all this? What's the connection here?
Our Planet is actually the third game that the Weekend team has created. So of course our first game was Prospectors, which of course first launched on the EOS blockchain back in 2018. So like I was mentioning before, that's kind of where I got my start with the guys. It was one of the first kind of play to earn games, almost before play to earn was even a thing. I was just immediately intrigued by this game. The idea is basically based on gold mine. They put these the tokens in the ground, so to speak. So you rent these plots. You dig for gold. Hopefully you got gold, or maybe you got iron ore or some other mineral, or trees or rocks or whatever. So basically, all of these items are fungible tokens within the game, and they can be bought, sold, and traded. So it's like it's a real time economic strategy game, which I immediately fell in love with. It was great. A lot of people, and of course that's still one of the most played games on Wax to this day. So of course, like I said, it launched on EOS. It then eventually expanded to Wax, and I think and Weekend has been on the forefront with play to earn gaming, NFTs, cross chain. I think we might have even been the first game that legitimately had truly cross chain assets. And so of course after that we developed a game called Tribal Books, which is actually still in development. It's going to be a card based kind of trading game. and those assets right now you can be staking those on the Tribal Books website, and earning a token called Mana. So that game has been in development, I think, since last year. And so yeah, as of last year, we then launched our newest game, Ourplanet, which was really popular on Wax when it first launched. It was probably uh, you know created a lot of buzz in the ecosystem, basically because we were the first NFT staking contract like ever. So basically, and not only did we allow uh, our own NFTs to be staked, but we started out by rewarding players across the entire ecosystem. So we used to kind of jokingly call it proof of collector. But basically, what we did was we took the biggest collections on Wax at the time, and we basically just built this staking contract and rewarded the biggest collectors for all these different collections on Wax. So you didn't need to buy any Ourplanet NFTs just by owning any one of these uh, number of other NFT projects. You could then be earning our game token Aether. So of course, and everybody who's collecting all these different projects on Wax were incentivized to come to our site, stake their NFTs. You're now kind of one foot in the door already, right? You already have the game token. You're already being rewarded just for being a collector on Wax. So of course, we're now attracting, of course, the biggest collectors because they're the ones that are going to stand to profit the most by staking their NFTs, of course, right? So it really worked out great. We got a lot of attention and had a lot of players and a lot of excitement really early with the staking system and the initial game, which was an alchemy game. So the idea of Ourplanet, of course, was that there was these chipped animals. They're escaping from a lab on Earth. They're heading off in a rocket ship to the Ourplanet to go rebuild civilization. And on the way, they are using this substance Aether, which is this game token, and these sort of ingredients to come up with all the different elements that they're going to need. So of course, it started with just the basic elements. It was like earth, fire, air, and water. So it starts with these four elements. And so we initially did this pack sale with these four elements, and you would then take these elements and put them in a generator and mix them at various ratios. You're basically coming up with a recipe. So of course, it starts very simple. You're mixing water and earth to come up with mud and etc. Right, and then it expands on from that all the way to making metal and other raw materials and some fun things along the way, and then all the way up to Lambo. So you're basically trying to come up with these recipes to come up with these elements. And these elements, of course, by solving this, you would win a number of prizes. You would get this inventor prize, which was also stakeable. You would win this huge Wax prize, and you would also that would be, of course, recorded on the blockchain that you were an inventor of that item. And also you would get the NFT of that element, which you could, of course, then stake, as well as, of course, the fungible token, which you could then use in the generator to invent more items. So it was a really kind of catchy game. There was definitely a period where it was really competitive. People would invent an element, and it would be like a madhouse. There would be all 600 of them would get invented really fast. So yeah, along the way, there's been some changes. Some they tweak. We sort of tweaked the system, trying to make it more fair and balanced. And all of this was basically happening. This whole phase one, as we were calling it, while we were developing the main Conquest game, which was sort of, the idea all along was to create this sort of battle military style, Travian style, land-based battle game. And so while that was happening, people were basically inventing these items and earning more and more of the Aether, and which of course now has been we'll have use cases even into the Conquest game. There's also been a land sale along the way, a couple land sales along the way for this Conquest game. Those lands are also like a staking earning type asset. they produce one of 4 different minerals, and these minerals are basically like the building blocks of what will be like your robot army and your base, and what will be like what will be the backbone of the Conquest game, so to speak.
So that seems
Kind of a
very
brief overview.
robust.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems really really cool. So I want to just kind of break it down, and I was looking a bit and doing some research, and it seems like there is a whole universe here, and so there's the actual military real-time military strategy NFT game. There is the alchemy section with the laboratory shop elements, land NFTs. There's the governance piece with staking. And then, of course, coming soon is going to be the marketplace, right? So maybe we could just go, and I really want to highlight and understand the actual game itself, because it seems like it's going to be on both the App Store and the Google Play Store. So that's pretty tremendous.
Yes.
But maybe you could just take us back to like the core gameplay. Um, there are factions. There's building a base, developing an army, doing things like that. Maybe just talk more about the actual core game loop itself.
Yes, exactly. You've obviously done your homework. You know a lot about it already. So, like you said, there's the main military strategy game, Our Planet Conquest, is launching its alpha starting this September 22nd. It is a closed alpha. There's going to be a lottery starting in just a few days, on August 23rd, actually, which will last for 2 weeks. Uh, Anybody who's interested in being an alpha tester for the game, you can just go ahead and check out the link on our Twitter, or head to our website, and you'll find the information on how you can buy a lottery ticket. You're going to need our game token Aether, the one I was just speaking about, which you can earn from staking NFTs. Of course, if you haven't been staking any NFTs and you just want to procure some Ether to, uh, you know, get in this lottery to perhaps be an alpha tester, you can do that just by going to Alcor Exchange and just buying some Aether. You're allowed to buy as many tickets as you want, but only one winner per account, of course. So yeah, like you said, there's sort of a lot of different strategy that's going to be involved with the Conquest game, starting with what you mentioned as far as factions, right? So the idea is that you're building these robot armies within the game. It basically starts out, you're looking at kind of a map, and each player, when you log in, you'll have a base, and so your base will basically be empty at the beginning. The idea is, of course, to build up your base, both offensively and defensively, via these minerals, like I was talking about before. That's kind of where the land NFT comes into play. The land NFT, by owning that land NFT, your base is sort of already hooked up with mining these minerals. So of course that's going to be an advantage,
Huge
but
advantage.
it's not absolutely necessary to play the game. In fact, you don't need to own any NFTs to play the game. And like you said, the game, of course, is launching on the App Store first. It's going to be an app to begin with, and a web-based game coming later. So yeah, it will be available on iPhone or Android, and you will be able to, of course, you'll log in with some sort of social. There'll of course be a way to link your Wax account if you so choose to do so. You of course want to do that if you own any land NFTs, etc. And yeah, so the game basically is like a game of conquest. You're going to be teaming up with your neighbors. Perhaps there's going to be alliances. I think there's even going to be some alliance functionality built right into the alpha. If not, it's definitely coming. It's being built for sure. But I know there's going to be some functionality around alliances. But yeah, you're going to basically team up with people, or be a lone wolf, and do your best trying to take over land. So of course your base is producing minerals. The minerals are the lifeblood of the game. Like I said, you're going to be able to use those minerals to, build all these little sort of buildings, like little factories on your base. The different factories will produce all the different sorts of robots. So like I mentioned before, there's going to be, of course, offensive robots and capabilities, and of course defensive. So it's pretty extensive. We've showed pictures too of all these different robots that you'll be able to craft, and each of the factions, of course, has its own different types of robots, right? That all have sort of their own benefits and maybe pros and cons, you could say.
And just to
So
hop in
there's
here, the factions
yeah, go
are
ahead.
the masterminds, warriors, and renegades, right?
Exactly.
And the
Exactly.
art just looks absolutely incredible. I don't know if you have any screen shares or anything prepared where we could take a peek at that, but
Oh man, I wish I knew that that was
it's
possible. I would have totally been on top of that.
all
I
good.
don't have
All
anything
good.
queued right up, but that would have been perfect because, yeah, as you said, the artwork on the robots is really cool.
You know what?
They're
Let
all
me
they're
try
all
to pop
different.
one on here.
There you
Can we
go.
see this
Awesome.
here? Okay, so we have renegades right here,
Yep.
warriors, and the masterminds. I love
Exactly.
this. This is just, I mean, look at the art quality. That's just absolutely phenomenal. I love that. Okay, anyways,
Yeah,
please
I love the art,
please
and they're
continue.
all sort of a different feel. And some of
Ooh,
them have this really like sort of organic kind of look. They almost like look like they could be like creatures. Like it could be this like organic sort of robot.
so can you break
Some of
each of
them
the
most look like
factions
bugs.
down? Can you break them down for us? Because this is one of the most critical decisions that we're going to make. Is like who are we, right?
That's true. So when you first log onto the game, the very first choice you'll have to make is which faction you want to be, and that choice is going to be the faction. You cannot change it for the rest of the rest of that battle server. Now, of course, it's going to be in like seasons. If people are familiar with that, it's going to be kind of like, I think this first alpha test is going to last 2 months, and that might be sort of the template that we shoot for. But that, of course, can maybe change in the future.
Mm-hmm.
But there's going to be a limited time period, and during that time period, you will be that faction that you choose. So, like you said, it is an important decision, but they're all good. Like it's not like any, and there's no robot faction that is definitively better than either of the other two. They all are just different, and so, and I was just talking about this on a live stream the other day. I think that the best strategy is basically going to be making sure that you're in alliance with some people who have all the factions covered. Like you want to be well rounded, right? You want to have some, because they all produce these different robots in their factories, and you can read more about them. We've released some information about them. In fact, I think the white paper has some good information about it as well. But they all sort of have pros and cons, like I said, and we spent a lot of time in our AMAs weekly going over all the different types of robots and what the capability is. So some of them are like siege weapons. So basically, you're gonna show up at someone else's base, trying to take their base over. Essentially, you're trying to defeat them. So they, of course, they'll have defenses. So you'll be choosing siege weapons that you can attack them through their wall, or attack
I'm
them, say, from
assuming
from far away.
something like this would be more of a siege weapon
Exactly.
here.
Yeah, launch some missiles with that bad boy. Yeah, or that other guy. You see the guy who looks like he has a big cannon on his back.
The mortar. Yep,
Yeah, exactly.
that's brilliant.
Um, yeah. So there's going to be strategy like that. You can attack from further away. There's also like these spies that you create. So I think it's like one of those little ones that look like the bug maybe on top. And the
Like
the
here.
purpose of those is you can basically send those. No, I think on that screen it's the one on top that looks like a dragonfly. Yep.
Ah, right. Mm-hmm.
So I think the idea is basically you're sending these to the other person's base. You're getting an idea of their capabilities. You can then be dialing in how you want to attack them. It's pretty involved. Like you'll see different teams taking totally different strategies, and there's, I don't know if there's any right or wrong way. I think that's what we're going to learn a lot in this alpha test is what strategies are going to work. I'm sure a lot of different strategies will work actually, but it's going to be fun to find out.
That's so exciting. I see so much potential here for esports, and especially in the form of, I would almost say like esports 2.0, where it's not like you just have one incredibly gifted dude or lady dude, whatever, who just has ridiculous chops and their hands are just out of control, but more like
Yeah.
long term strategic. We're gonna absolutely wreck you esports, and like everybody's streaming different things, and it's just a whole big ecosystem. Like to me, that's what this speaks in volumes to me.
Yeah, that's such a great point, man. I never really had even really considered that, but like you said, of course, esports are huge. There's, people think of the first person shooters and all these people that have these teams, but I think that we'll maybe see an emergence of these, more longer term strategic games. Especially, I think as this whole space evolves and some of these games become, you know, really next level popular, and the monetary stakes get bigger and bigger, and as blockchain in general gets more adoption, I think we'll see exactly as you're suggesting. um, there'll be teams that won't just be based on how great your war skills are, but it will be some whole war strategy, maybe something like Our Planet, where you're actually planning and running a whole military. Because wargaming is actually a thing too, right? There's been a long time history of people, that, gamers who do these like wargaming exercises, and so maybe we'll see more of that move into the digital space and maybe into the play to earn and blockchain space.
I think it'll be awesome. So when you're thinking about um like where the game is right now, obviously you're at a critical stage with the alpha test. What are kind of the most important things that you're looking for, and the things that are the most on y'all's mind, as far as like, okay, this is what we need to nail right now, and then maybe lay out and talk through the roadmap, so we just kind of understand what's coming.
Hmm. Yeah, so I would say that the feedback that we get through this alpha test is going to be really important. I've been playing around with the game on the test net now a little bit, but it hasn't really, even I haven't really got to do the real full battling. It's been coming together actually now for, like I said, it's been almost a year. So it's actually not even completely finished, right? It's going to be the alpha itself is only launching on September 22nd, which is just a little over a month away. And I think that really what we're going to see during that first 2 month sort of season, I guess is maybe what we're calling it, is there'll probably be some dialing in, right? It's very similar to, um, I was telling you about the game Prospectors earlier, right? So that was kind of how I got my start with the team really early on. Was I was one of the testers for Prospectors. They did sort of a similar deal where there was sort of a test net. They had actually sort of sped up time, if you will, so that we could experience what would normally take, say maybe a year worth of development, we could do in just a few weeks, so that we could really play out and see how it would really work and develop. And there was a number of changes that were made, and I think that the people that were really serious about playing the game had really good feedback and helped the team sort of make changes that needed to be changed. There was certain sort of nerfs or buffs, as the gamers would say, right, that needed to happen to sort of make one industry uh, more competitive, or another industry more attractive, and so on and so forth. And I think it'll be similar with Our Planet, right? So there'll be, I'm sure, something that would be hard to even predict, like these robots are maybe too powerful. They maybe they just, if you get all of these types of robots, you're just like one bit too you can't be stopped, right? And so maybe they'll make some adjustment where then that those robots maybe cost more minerals to create, so you can't create so many, or something like or just straight up nerf the capabilities of those robots, or any number of things. um little tweaks like that is what I imagine will be really important over the next couple months. And so, like I said, I think that they've announced that it's going to be about a 2 month is the goal that we're shooting for the game to basically wind down to the 100 players. Because basically, what we're doing in this alpha test, I kind of forgot to mention, was that there's going to be 1,000 alpha testers, and we're going to basically play the conquest down until there's only 100. So that was kind of what we had just announced just a few days ago in the article. And once it gets to 100, we're going to call it. There's going to be some kind of awesome prize given out to the 100 survivors. Um, some sort of NFTs, something that's going to help you in the game moving forward. And then I think what's going to happen is, and I don't think we have a date for it yet. I know you had kind of asked about the roadmap. I think that then we will be announcing a date that the actual, we'll move into actual beta. We'll make it open will of course be launching more lands at that time, because there's been already two different named lands, and there's going to be another one coming. We're calling Pigsburg. So there'll be one more land sale. So there's actually going to be, when you actually log into the game, it actually shows 4 separate lands that you could choose. I believe they're right now they're just being referred. It's just like northeast, southeast, southwest. There's just sort of quadrants, and I'm not sure in the alpha game if there's even going to be a choice for the quadrant. I think that basically we're all playing in the same land. Is kind of how I understand the alpha. But of course, once we move into beta, there's going to be sort of multiple lands kind of happening simultaneously, and so of course I imagine some people will probably be playing multiple different versions of the game, different lands of the game, possibly even simultaneously. So yeah, and as far as there is actually a sort of overview roadmap that people, of course, can find on our website. Wecan.dev is our main game studio website, and of course, the website for the game is Ourplanet.io.
So, in looking at just everything that y'all have been doing, clearly y'all have a ton of experience, and this is not your first rodeo, so on and so forth. I'm just curious, like, how were you able to build so much excitement um, around the game? I mean, you're not even an alpha, and it seems like, and I could be wrong, but it seems like you have hundreds of thousands of people going to the website every single month. Like, how did you actually build that, and how are you able to just keep that going?
No, it's a great question. And I think going back to what we were talking about earlier with really kind of being on the forefront of a lot of these trends, and being just revolutionary on the cutting edge of the tech, right? So as I had mentioned before, when we first launched the Our Planet Phase 1 Alchemy game, there really wasn't a ton of games even happening on Wax at the time. Of course, Prospectors was one of the first. It might even been other than Alien Worlds, I think one of the very first games on Wax. And at the time, like I had said, the staking idea was totally novelty. No one was doing it. No one had done it yet. It was the very first staking contract where you could just stake NFTs and basically just be paid out this token, be paid out a token. And so I think that was sort of the linchpin, right? We had we caught lightning in a bottle with that move. We had everybody in the whole ecosystem of Wax really excited. People were, of course, talking about it in the different Telegram chats. Like, oh, did you know you can stake those NFTs? And so then it, of course, became sort of a thing. Like, as new projects were launching, was it going to be stakeable on Our Planet? Became like the people were getting people were that would be, it almost got annoying in certain chat rooms, of course, because that became at one point all anybody was concerned about. But yeah, so just the idea, which of course now seems obviously it's been now done a million times and iterated upon, etc. But at the time, it was really novel. People were really excited about the idea of earning this game token. And so then, of course, people, of course, were excited about just the fact that these tokens had a value, and that's when it was, by the time it got listed and people realized, like, oh, I have these tokens, they actually have a value, I can just sell these tokens. But then, of course, realizing, well, now this game is launching, by using these tokens, you can actually mint more NFTs, which might have even higher staking value. So we had, and of course, that right off the bat, there was some people who weren't really necessarily interested in playing the game, and but they were, to your later point about bringing the traffic to the website. Even if people weren't really interested in our game, they're still logging onto the website every day to claim those tokens. So in a way, it's like engagement farming. I mean, you give people a free token, they're going to come to your website. So in a way that, we sort of nailed it there. But at the same time, getting all those players who already have the token are now that much more likely to play your game. So when we launched this Alchemy game, which, like I said, it was really popular. It was really catchy too, especially earlier on. It was kind of there was, of course, less combination, so it was sort of easier to figure out. Of course, the game got harder and harder as it went on, and it got to the point where we had actually just started dropping hints to try to help with these these sort of harder recipes, because it became obvious that it would just be too expensive for people to just be trying recipes at random, right? So we kind of started implementing hints to kind of help the game move forward. But it was really fun, and a lot of people were really enthusiastic about it. And so, of course, with that, with that excitement came some insane speculation. This of course was right when a lot of people are coming into the space. 2019, 2020, play to earn games are blowing up. A lot of new people are coming into the space. A lot of people are finding their way to chains like Wax and Binance Chain that had cheaper transaction fees. Wax, of course, has no transaction fee. So there was an explosion of players. We had a lot of players come really early on, and some people then who were coming late to the game, who were of course then as tends to happen in some crypto things, there was some speculation. People were of course buying a ton of Aether and using that to craft a bunch of items. But then of course there's not enough Aether on the market, tokens mooning, which of course creates a crazy positive feedback loop, because once the tokens mooning, people then look at their Aether that they're earning, and people are just earning like what would be like just ridiculous amounts of money, just absurd, right? Like there's like zero way that everybody could actually be earning this amount of money in real life. But the reality was, and thanks to one of our community members, shout out to Nick Custers, he creates this tool right when it's sort of at the fever pitch, where you just type in your Wax address, and it tells you it breaks down your Aether earnings per hour, per day, per week, per month, and per year. And it broke it down in Wax and also US dollars. So it doesn't take long before people then are bragging to their friends like, I'm making $200 a day, I'm making $100 a day, I'm making whatever a day just by staking these NFTs. And then of course it goes haywire, because then of course that gets more people to come in and buy up a bunch of Aether. They're trying to create the NFTs. They want in on it. And we got into a little bit of a speculative mania there for a minute. And it was pretty hot. Things were pretty heated. Of course, over time, as happens, like I said, the recipes got a little bit harder to solve. Got more expensive. The token prices come down. Wax price comes down. The market does what the market does. The market corrects. And so we sort of have this core group of players who have been there the whole time, who are sort of the hardcores. There was sort of a group that came in early on that were there for the speculation, and then now we have, of course, this growing group of people who have been here, excited about the Conquest game, people who got in for like the land sales, and who have been waiting for going on, like I said, almost a year now, who have just been patiently waiting for what we finally now have as this alpha launch happening just a month away. So yeah, it's pretty exciting. But yeah, to answer your question, how do we have so many people coming to the website? I think it's a matter of aligning the incentives, getting people incentivized to come to the site to begin with, but then getting them excited about what should be a pretty cool Conquest game.
I love that, because at the end of the day, it all boils back down to the game.
Exactly.
Like, and that's my opinion, but I really think at the end of the day, like, the game has to be fun.
It has to be fun. It's
Fun.
plain and simple.
It has to be awesome, and I think the earnings are the cherry on top, and the ability for a game to make you feel like you're escaping reality, or like you've just been, it just takes you to a different plane of existence. Like, to me, that is truly what an incredible game really does. So I'm excited to see this alpha test, see what'll happen.
Totally agree.
So let's scope out for a bit. I feel like we've done a good job of kind of digging through a lot of the different pieces of the project, and the just kind of learning about a bit about the origins, and we know what's coming. But let's go about. We're seeing an interesting time in the in the world and technology and gaming right now. What do you think that the best games are going to be doing in order to really take their places amongst the greats of all time? Like, is it just back to build a super fun game, or like,
yeah, just to expand on even what you were just saying too, and I agree 100%. It is all about the game. We of course saw a whole, this whole cycle, this whole crypto cycle. We saw sort of the birth. We saw the whole cycle, right, of the start of these, what then turned into these click to earn games, and we saw it sort of blow up and peak, and then sort of crash back down. And I think what will emerge out of this will be some really good games, right? And I think, like you said, of course, everybody agrees it's got to be, this whole play to earn thing. It's for real games that catch on with real gamers. It's got to be a game, and the sort of earning aspect has got to be, like you said, the cherry on top. It's got to be secondary. But having said that, there's of course like really different types of games that really different people get into, right? Like we talked about prospectors earlier, right? And it's not for everybody. There's really not, there's no moving graphics. You're looking at a building getting built, or you're looking at a map, and you're sending your workers. You're looking at job boards, and you're basically deciding where you want your worker to go. So I think we're seeing we're seeing the birth of like a whole new genre of game too, right? And it's not going to be for everybody. And the same thing with Our Planet. It's like, it's going to be a cool game if you're into that sort of game. Like I can pretty confidently say, yeah, I don't think it's going to be a game that that everyone in the world is going to be into. It's got the same with prospectors. I think there's certain type of people who are really attracted to a specific type of game, and other people aren't, and that's fine. I think that and that's kind of why what's great about Weekend, right? We have this. We started with this really cool game concept, Prospectors. It works. It's still working. It's a great game. There's a handful of players that are diehards. People go really hard on it. They have huge alliances with every type of factory, so they all rely on each other to have all their tools and all their raw materials in the game. They all work together to help each other make money, and you have this whole community that forms around what's essentially a real life virtual economy that's happening in a game, and it's where you're earning real tokens, like a true play to earn economy, full economy happening virtually. And so sort of nailing that genre early, kind of being on the forefront of that, and then of course being able to create sort of these other games. Like I said, with Tribal Books, it's going to be sort of this Magic kind of, I don't want to say Magic the Gathering ish, but it's a trading card game. Some cool sort of Magic tied into it, and then this game, which is sort of I think our CEO has compared it to Travion. And if you're familiar with the game Travion, I think that early on we had some fans. Some of the guys in our game studio were big fans of that game, and I think always had the idea that they could make a cool version of this game, but do it on using blockchain, and be able to incorporate NFTs, and be able to actually incorporate some kind of earning potential, or a way to earn prizes in the game. And I think that was sort of the motivation that Our Planet was born from, was to create this sort of like Travion type battle map style military strategy game. So to contrast that, we have Prospectors, which is an economic strategy game, which like I said, it's, some people are really into it, and some people, it's not their cup of tea, which is cool. And it's sort of going to be the same thing, I think, with a military strategy game. I think some people are into that type of game, and specifically will seek it out. And I think that because it's a sort of a genre that has some history, like I said, with some of these other popular games, that some people will see some similarities with Our Planet, Conquest, and some of these games that maybe they played in the past, that I think it'll be a little bit easier to get more of a mass audience who's familiar with this type of game. And of course, because it'll be on the App Store, it's going to be really accessible. And I also just want to make the point too, I think our team really tried hard. This is kind of again, to compare it sort of to Prospectors, which was really at the time coming up with this pure blockchain game, right? This true blockchain, true transparency. Every single move you make in the game is on chain. And every single move you make is potentially has something to do with economic strategy. Where this game is like, you don't need to know as much about blockchain. So I think it was, when we first created Prospectors, it was a lot of people who are really hardcore about blockchain were some of the earliest players. And I think what we're going for with our Planet Conquest is to really bring in like people who might not have even heard of blockchain gaming or play to earn gaming. In fact, like, and I'm sure you've experienced this a little bit as well, but there's obviously this sort of there's like this anti NFT sentiment in some of the traditional gaming like communities. I don't know if it's like comes from, you know, I think some of it is left over from the you know, I think these guys were sort of at odds with some of the Ethereum mining folks, like, because, you know, they're buying all the gaming cards, and I think there's always just been sort of this animosity between some of the gaming community and some crypto people, and I don't really know where that comes from, because like NFTs are really like the greatest thing that's ever come to gamers, right? It's like we're actually trying to give ownership back to the player, right? And sort of take some of the power away from some of these you know, mega game studios that are making, you know, ungodly amounts of money just by making digital assets that have no provable scarcity. There's no transparency. There's no blockchain aspect. And so,
well,
yeah,
I even think that, it's not even the big businesses, because businesses are going to do what businesses do. It's up to us as the innovators and the people that are creating a new space to take the responsibility to go out and make a better product. Because at the end of the day, product market fit is going to be what determines who's the winner here. Like the gamer, and this is, again, this is what I believe, or this is what I think in this very moment, but I really think that the gamer does not care at the end of the day. Like, maybe they got sold a certain story and they chose to internalize and believe a certain story, and they hold this belief about something, but that was probably because it was done the wrong way by whoever first got to them, and that was their first impression, so that holds more weight in their mind. And so now everything they're looking for is just confirming what they previously thought. But the second that we have incredible games that consistently kick the asses of the older, not as incredible games, and it's always going to be a tussle, and I don't think there's going to be one clear winner in the next couple of years, but you know, it's going to evolve over time. But it's going to come down to the game and the actual product, and whoever can make the best game and whoever can make the best experience for the gamer, they're not going to. I don't think they're going to care at all whether it's NFTs or crypto or Web 2 or Web 3. Like, they just want to lose themselves in something amazing.
Yeah. You're exactly right. I couldn't agree more. They just want a good game, and it's just such where the really good games now, they're not incentivized to rock the boat. They're making a ton of money. They don't really need to change anything. They don't need to reinvent the wheel. They're making a ton of money, and they're making really good games. And so, yeah, it's going to come down to really innovative new game studios or existing game studios that are going to make games that are just so good that people aren't going to notice or aren't going to care that they're using blockchain in any way. But they'll be reaping the benefits, and I think that will then is what will make it sticky. You know, because it's hard to just create the next, you know, Fortnite or whatever. But you know, I think that when the new games do come, and I agree with you too, it's not going to be next year, you know, that we're going to see the entire game industry get taken over. But I think over time, it's inevitable. And I think, you know, we're looking at, you know, 5 years out, 10 years out, where we're just going to start to see it'll be, I think, normal that I think that eventually it'll be abnormal for games to not. I think that'll become the norm. I think every game eventually will be incorporating some sort of you know, marketplace that's more friendly to the player, more player ownership of the assets, etc. Just to stay competitive.
Exactly. I love that last part, because the way you get the big ones to move towards where you want them to go is to show them a better way. Because eventually, I also think that this technology is way better, and that the folks that are on the ground floor, like you guys, like all of us that are listening and participating in this right now, like, we're on the ground floor, we're showing the incumbents, the legacy players, a better way. And then after a certain amount of time, we're going to have made so much progress that they will then be struggling to catch up. and then they're going to mess up on things, and they're going to have to go through the learning curve too, and they have a lot more to lose. So I think that'll be a really interesting dynamic to see, like when it gets proven time and time again to the point where they can't ignore it, or now their shareholders know, their investors know that, wow, y'all are being idiots for ignoring this. That's when they're going to be forced to adopt the new technology. Like it's like any business that was not adopting the internet in the beginning.
Yep.
Eventually, they were forced to adopt it because they were getting outcompeted and just thrashed so hard that they had to adapt or they were going to die. It's probably going to be the same exact thing.
It's going to be the exact same thing, 100%.
Totally. Well, Bonds, I appreciate your time, my man. This has been a lot of fun. I want to start wrapping up here. You have any last thoughts for the lovely folks that are listening and watching?
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. It was a blast. I appreciate you having me. I just would remind everybody that there's lottery starting in just a few days, August 23rd. If you're interested in helping alpha test this game, if you're really into military style conquest games, you want to really be involved, you want to help give feedback, you want to help shape the direction of this game, come join the alpha testing, buy some lottery tickets. You'll hopefully get in. I'm sure you will. I mean, I can't say I'm sure you will, but you have a good chance, and it'll be fun. And I think the more people who join, who actually kind of care about that type of game or are really interested in that type of game, I think will actually help make it a better game. So if you're interested in that type of game, make it a point. Come join the alpha test with us, starting next month, September 22nd, and help us turn this into a really cool game. That for the masses, that we can hopefully bring in, hundreds of thousands and then eventually maybe millions of players.
Right on. Bond, you're the man. Best of luck with the project and everything moving forward, ladies and gentlemen. I love you all, and I will see you on the next episode.
Peace.